Hello and welcome to Richard's Comics. Today I want to go over the latest books I've gotten in about the last week and a half. So let's start off with the first book, Amazing Spider-Man number 159. This is a nice story with Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man teaming up to stop Hammerhead. Very good story. Next up, Amazing Spider-Man number 18, Legacy number 912. This is the main Dark Web storyline that also crosses over into various other books. For example, Dark Web X-Men. Next book, Action Comics number 1051. I read this book. The main story is very good. It's a nice Superman family versus Metallo and Lex Luthor. I think more of the problem with this book is that it is $4.99 and you get two other tales in this besides the main Action Comics tale. And honestly, I really think they need to do away with this type of formatting and stick with just the main Superman story and cut the price back to $3.99. Probably won't happen, but basically I don't really care anything for the backup tales in this book. Next book, Alien number 5. This is a very solid issue. I would recommend it. This is basically the android-like creatures like Bishop from the Aliens movies. They're the main characters and they're going up against aliens on this planet. It's just as good as any of the Dark Horse series that were ever printed. Next book. Probably the best Batman book right now. Batman and the Joker, The Deadly Duo, number 2 by Mark Silvestri. I have to admit, this is, by the way, my favorite Batman book coming out right now. I really wish this creative team would go on to the main book itself. Not that what's going on with Chip Zdarsky on the main book is bad, but I feel like this is actually a better tale. Next up, Batman the Joker, The Deadly Duo, number 3. I already mentioned it on number 2, but again, I do think this is the best Batman book currently on the stands. Next up, Batman and Superman World's Finest, number 11. This is a very solid book. Between Batman and Joker Deadly Duo and this book, both of these are probably the best thing that DC is putting out right now. Next issue, Catwoman number 51. I read number 50, and number 51 is kind of the fallout from issue 50. Probably not going to keep reading this book. The art is good, but overall the story is, I don't really find it personally that interesting. Next up is not really a comic, it's more of a preview guide. This is DC Connect, issue number 32. This is kind of giving a preview of all the DC books coming out in March and April. I can pick these up for free at the local comic book store. Definitely worth checking out. Next up, Detective Comics number 1068. Unlike the Action Comics 1051, I think the Detective Comics, the main story and both the backup stories are very solid, very interesting. The backup characters are really add to the mythos of Batman and Gotham. Definitely recommend Detective Comics if you're not reading it. Not to mention, I'm really liking these covers that they're doing right now. Very different, very cool. Definitely check it out. Next up, I've not read yet. This is Dream Master number 1 from Black Box Comics. I heard this recommended on various YouTube shows as being a very solid tale. Not too long ago, I put together a Sleepwalker run from Marvel in the early 90s. I'm wondering if Dream Master is kind of similar to that. I will read it and hopefully it is, and if it is, I'll enjoy it. Next book, this is Flash number 790. This is the first part of the 1 Minute War, where the Flash family is going up against the Faction, who also use the Speed Force. The whole war itself takes place in about a minute. And so it's interesting because none of the other heroes in the DC Universe can help the Flashes because it's happening so fast. Next up, Flash number 791, The 1 Minute War, Part 2. Now this is a fun book. This is I Hate Fairyland number 3, volume 2. I read about the first 5 issues of I Hate Fairyland volume 1 that came out back in 2000, I believe 15. This is the second volume where Gertrude is actually having to go back to Fairyland. It's been a fun ride so far. Really like the art and the direction of the story. It's a lot different than most of the other books you see on the stands, so I would check it out. Next book, this is kind of a nostalgic thing for me. This is Joe Fixit number 1. For people a fan of the Peter David run, back when Joe Fixit, Personality of the Hulk, was one of the dominant personalities, back when he was in Las Vegas. This kind of goes back to those days. Another reason I picked this book is because there's actually a confrontation between Joe Fixit and the Kingpin, and so I'm looking forward to see that. Next issue. This is The Last Ronin, Lost Years, number 1. So my understanding of this book is it is both a sequel and kind of a prequel to the Lost Ronin miniseries. We get to kind of see what happened to the Lost Ronin. Kind of spoiler alert, the Last Ronin is actually Michelangelo. And then also we get to see the next generation of turtles that are going to be raised by April O'Neil that will replace the turtles that we know. Next book, similar to the DC Connect. This is Marvel Free Previews number 16. Again, this gives you kind of a sneak peek, preview of the Marvel books coming out and starting in March. It's fun to see the new books coming out, the new creative teams and new art. Check it out if you can. And again, most local comic book stores will give you this for free. Next up is Nightwing number 100. I did read issue 99. It was good. Issue 100 both kind of ends the current storyline going on and then also opens up new storylines. Kind of we see a passing of the mantle from the Justice League characters to the Titans characters. And then there's a real touching moment with Nightwing and Batman that I'm looking forward to reading. Next up, Spawn book. This particular one is Scorch number 14. I've talked about Spawn books multiple times on this channel. Really good art. They're only $2.99, and it's a nice self-contained story for the most part. If you're not reading into Spawn books, I would definitely check this one out as well. If you're kind of limited on budget, I would personally probably stick with the main Spawn book and Gunslinger, but King Spawn and the Scorch are also very good as well. Speaking of Spawn, this is Spawn Unwanted Violence number 1. I don't know anything about this issue. I just saw it come out. It is not a $2.99 book. This one actually costs a bit more. It is quite a bit thicker. So I'm not really sure what it's about, but I'm going to read it and find out. Next up is a mini series. This is Star Wars The High Republic, The Blade, number 2. This is a mini-series that kind of runs concurrently with the current High Republic series. This is set, I believe, about 100 years or so before the previous High Republic series. Only a few more books left. Next book is Star Wars Yoda number 3. It's not quite as far back in time as the High Republic, but it is set before the Phantom Menace. Kind of a focus on Yoda and his side quest away from Coruscant and the rest of the Jedi. Couple books left. This is Thor number 30, Legacy 756. So on this one, Thor is chasing Corvus Glaive, I believe is the character's name, who has kidnapped his baby sister. This ties into the glimpse that we got back in, I believe, Thor number 5 and 6, where you see a future where Thanos has basically won and Thor is about to be killed. So Thor has actually been looking into the history of Thanos and trying to figure out what's going on and try and prevent this terrible future that awaits him. Last book. This is another Dark Web crossover. Venom number 15, Legacy number 215. I came very close to dropping this book. I'm not really very interested in the story for the most part. I think I'm mainly collecting it because I'd hate to have a gap in my run. I'm really hoping that they get to the point of all this, and I would like to see Eddie Brock back in the Venom symbiote in the current time frame. Okay, that's the last book. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day.